Hey guys, this is Orsi and this is going to be a VR to Lisa Papez, Don Michelle, Danny Mystic and Marlena Teresa, and I'm gonna link all the videos in the description, so go ahead and watch those. And there are many responses posted already. It's a great fun tag. It was supposed to be for Valentine's Day and stuff like that, but I was sick, like really sick. Just recovering, just getting better. So I had no time to do all the VRs that I wanted. So I'm gonna post a lot of VRs in the upcoming few days, which is fun for me. Hopefully it's fun for you guys. So I wanted to do this one because I like talking about my decks and I love them, and this is a great deck for that. So I tried not to babble too much. There are prompts, which also is going to be in the description. So, you can play along in the comments if you don't want to do a video response. But if you do, please do let me know. But like I said, you can just post your selection in the comments because I'm curious what and which deck would, cut for a certain category for you. So first one is a Fling, and I'm gonna read it off from my phone. It's a deck with which you had a short period of wild times. And the one that I chose for that one was the Shadowland, because I kinda it got in, and yeah, I'm gonna open it because it's easier. I was just trying to think what I want to say. This is a deck that came in and I was just very mesmerized with it. I absolutely love this deck. Every time I get it in my hand, I'm like, oh, I should use it more. And it's very colorful and it's fun and it's quirky. But then other decks came into my collection and I kind of immediately moved on. So not immediately, but within a short period of time, it was just not a deck that I used regularly, which is a shame because this is a great deck and I love it and I should use it more. And every time, like I said, every time I get it out and it's in my hand, I enjoy the cardstock. I removed the gilding because that was cutting into my hand, and I edged it with black, which is kind of fading, so I need to re-edge it. But it's a great little deck and I use it when I have it. But then, I made the mistake of getting more decks and now it's pretty much just stays in the pouch that I made and for it, and I only use it if I use it around Halloween, which is not fair. But when I originally got this deck, I was all over it. It was just such a fun one, and it still is. It's just the problem with getting more decks is that you kind of don't use the ones you have already. And I really like the pouch. I'm very pleased with how this pouch turned out. So that was my Fling. The next one is Puppy Love, a deck with which you were infatuated but couldn't make a long-term commitment to. And for me, that is the Spacious Tarot. I was absolutely infatuated, that's a good word for it. I fell in love with this High Priestess card as soon as I figured out what it was. Because I was just like, oh, okay, a pearl in a shell. What's the big deal? And then I realized that was the moon. And I still think that this would be a great tattoo as well. I want a High Priestess tattoo, and I like certain tarot things to put together, but I like Death, High Priestess, and stuff like that, but I haven't figured out what exactly I want. These are one of my favorite cards. And the reason being why I couldn't make a long-term commitment to this deck is I don't like cards that are first-person perspective. Like, I only like that in games. I like, FFS. But that's when I'm hunting, monsters and I'm shooting things. What I need in a tarot deck is that objectivity, that gives you, because you can just look at a situation from outside. I don't do pathworking. That's not my thing. Not because, you know, anything is wrong with it, or not because this deck is not beautiful. It's just that I need to step out of a situation to be objective about it, and this deck does exactly the opposite, which is brilliant. You know, I know that there's not a lot of decks like that, and a lot of people like it, but it's just not for me. And I only realized it after I got this deck and figured out that that was just not a thing that I liked. Which, you know, I didn't know before getting this deck, so it's not the deck's fault, it's not my fault. It just was something that I had to learn, and this deck helped me learn it. But it's, you know, in a way I'm over it, which sounds really bad and you know, sad, but the deck is great. I never use it for this reason being. Okay, and next one is the Friend with Benefits, which is a deck you care about but sometimes get extremely passionate for. So how I interpreted this one is, you know, like I like it, but there are just times when we're connecting, and other times when I'm just like, I don't need to look at you, which just sounds really bad. And that's the Mermaid Tarot. I hope it should be the Mermaid Tarot. Yeah, okay, good, because I'm color coding, you know, the pouches, and that's how I know which deck is inside. I love this deck. This is a brilliant one, but it's so engraved in me that it connects to summer, that when summer comes, I'm very excited to use this deck, but when summer is over, I'm like, oh, okay, let's move on, and I don't have a problem putting it away. It definitely have a season for it, even though, you know, there's seasons in the deck. I still think of this deck as a summer deck. So when summer comes, we connect. When summer is over, we just part our ways. So I think this is a perfect selection for this prompt. And like I said, it's a really good one, and I like this deck, but not always. Okay, the next one is Love at First Sight, a deck you loved from the start. And I have a few, actually. But what I was thinking is would be the perfect one is the one that I started looking at a walkthrough, stopped after the 6th card and ordered the deck, and never looked back because I just love this one. And that is the Tarot of the Little Prince. And the card that made me fell in love with this deck. And okay, where is the Lovers? Where is the Lovers? Which was featured in my, you know, favorite deck video series, where I went through all my available decks and pulled my favorite cards for each of the 78 positions, which was great fun, but was very tiring. But I should do it at some point again because I have more decks now. But this Lovers with the Little Prince and the Rose and everything that symbolizes is just pure perfection for me for the Lovers. I don't think that, at least I cannot see a card coming close to how I interpret the Lovers and how this story has this love in, you know, shown in it. I don't think that anything can come close to like matching this. This is perfection for me for this card. And I love all the rest of it. It's just great. And the story is, you know, a little short, obviously, because it was meant for children, even though I don't know why we read it as, I don't even know, I think we read it in elementary school. And obviously I had no idea what the story meant. I talked about it in the original walkthrough or first impression, that all I remembered about the story is that I felt sad, but I didn't understand why it was the sad story. obviously, you know, the little bit, you know, it's someone dies and then he didn't die and la la la. So, you know, as a kid, I didn't understand, and then I read it as an adult, after all the things that I went through life. Now, when I was getting ready, or no, after I got the deck, I read through the story and I was bawling my eyes out because it's so bittersweetly, beautifully sad, and that I think the essence of the story is in this deck. So I think this is a very underrated deck. I always like to, you know, just tell people to get it, read the story, and get the deck because it's brilliant. So obviously it was love at first sight. Okay, so next one is One Night Stand. The deck you tried out but move on from almost immediately. Sometimes you still think about the deck. And that's gonna be the Magical Tarot for me. Reason being, it's illustrated by Stasia, I think, Barrington, who illustrated the Sasurai Bito deck. And there was two things that made me want to get this deck. That the fact that she illustrated it, even though this is a very simplified RWS clone, it's still her style. So I was like, oh, if I can't buy the Sasurai Bito yet because it's, you know, more on the expensive side, I can get this. Plus the colors, it's kind of my bisexual deck because, you know, we have purples and pinks and blues, which I really enjoy. But honestly, I think I used it a few times only, and then I was just like, oh, it's a placeholder, because it is. And then even though it's a great little deck, but I have so many other decks that I actually really love using, that it just stayed in the box. I didn't even make a pouch for it, and I won't. It's just gonna live in the big box where I keep my decks, and I'm just gonna, you know, sometimes pull it out and look at it and think about it and then never use it again. Which sounds horrible, but, you know, we have those decks, and I think it's okay to have these decks when I just want to have it because I enjoy having it, but I don't necessarily feel the need to use it. And, you know, maybe in the future I will gift it to someone who's starting out with tarot. This is a perfect deck for that, I think. So there's always a reason to have decks. The next one is We Were on a Break, a deck you separated from for any reason. And that is, I was thinking about that most of the decks that I don't connect with, they end up leaving my collection. Like the Spacious Tarot, I love it, but that is something that I would be silly to keep around because, you know, I don't have to have everything that I don't use in my collection. But the one that we were on a break, we were actually on a break, is the Wisdom of the Oracle. This is a second copy. My first one is with my sister. She uses it. That's the one that I trimmed. I haven't had time to trim this one, which I will. And this one was generously gifted by a friend who are not using this deck anymore. And actually, before she offered this one to me, I was thinking about getting it back because I decluttered this deck, or, you know, gifted it away, thinking that, oh, I'm over it. I learned everything about, not learn everything about, it's not not what I meant to say, is that I evolved. You know, my horse was high. I'm not gonna lie. I was just thinking that, you know, because of the art style is not exactly my favorite. I just don't get these faces, and plus the style is just not necessarily mine. I was like, oh, there's gonna be other decks that are, you know, working as well as this one, and there's gonna be good keywords and descriptions, so I don't need to keep something that is not exactly right for me. But this deck is just so good. It matches with everything that I ever pulled it with. I love the keywords. You can easily remember all the positional meanings for it, because if it's reversed, then it's a protection message. If it's the right side up, it's I think it's 2 or 3 different, like there's a general meaning and there's love reading and there's something else, I think, which I could, you know, just show you in the guidebook. Would be so much easier. So yeah, there's a relationship. So always an essential meaning, an oracle's message, which you can take it as a spiritual message. Then there's a relationship message. So, you know, if you pull it for a relationship, then you know how to interpret that card. And if it's reversed, then we have, you know, there's a prosperity, which is if you want to do readings for the financial stuff like that. And then there's the protection one. So I think it's very beginners friendly, it's very versatile, and even though the guidebook is quite thick and there's a lot in it, it's easy to remember what certain cards mean. And you know, like, I absolutely love this one, so I don't have a problem with that illustration. So when I got it back and I went through with it, I was like, I like most of the illustration. There were just some that I felt like it was just weird, and the overall feeling of it, and the faces, like, can we let's not do the faces, please? But yeah, so this is absolutely a deck that came back, and I was like, haha, you still want me? And I was like, yeah, you know what, I still want you. So yeah, I got it back. Okay, next one. Okay, I need to change the picture. There's only 2 now. Okay, so the marriage material is a deck that has proven its value to you. And that is the Wild Unknown. I know if you're a subscriber or if you're, you know, hang around with me for a while, you know, I'm sure you're getting sick of, you know, and tired of hearing me gushing about this deck, but this was a surprise. This was definitely not a love at first sight. This was a, I don't want to love you. What do you want from me? Get away, get away. And then, okay. I fell in love with you the moment we actually started to speak. So yeah, like, this is a great love story. I cannot imagine not using this deck. We connected on, and I don't personify my deck, so I don't know why this deck connects with me, or the readings, better to say, in such a deep level, but they do. I use it for personal readings exclusively these days. And every time I feel like I want to do a reading for myself and think about getting a different deck, I just override myself, and I just go back to this one, because I know that this is the one that I think Danny said it in some, even in either in this video, or I mean the tag video, or somewhere, but I think Danny Mystic said it somewhere, that this is that she has a deck that she talks to her higher self with. And this is exactly this deck for me as well. And this is how I could classify it, you know, or describe it. And I think I only have this deck for a year now, but there's a lot happened, and I had to do a lot of talking to myself in the past years, and this was there for me, and it never failed me, and it's just proven its worth. And I know that I will always have this one out, not just, you know, in my collection, but on my desk, ready to grab it. And I love the size. I love, you know, the pocket size. And the last one is the reason being it's not the happily ever after, which is the last prompt for this tag, is because honestly, my own decks are my happily ever afters, and it might sound weird or, you know, like selfish, but I created these decks, and I'm working on a new edition for the Zombie Oracle, so this is going to be a smaller size. I'm very excited and terrified to be selling, you know, my own decks through Etsy within a few months and stuff like that. Yeah, turning inside trend. So yeah, I worked on these decks, and even if no one will ever use them, I will have these out, and, you know, close to me because they made me creative and they made me happy for creating them. And you know, we're just a little deck family, because how could you not love your own creations? I do love my galaxy RWS as well, all the tiny galaxies that you might not even see clearly in pictures. I spent time, and I'm gonna put the tower here because that was the first card that I ever did. I spent time putting all those stars and colors in there, and you know, oh, look at the support for the building relationship one and the effort. Yeah, so these are decks that I could just, if I never had any other decks that I could, you know, I have 3 oracle cards and a tarot, and I would be happy because I made these, and you know, what else should make me for sure happily live happily ever after if not the decks that I actually put effort in, because you know, these are mine. So yeah, these are my tiny happy family, and let's create a better one for these, because I don't want to actually leave it on there. Oh, cool, Ace of Pentacles. So yeah, these are my own decks that are happily ever. So I hope you know, allow me to indulge myself with this one. But yeah, this was a fun tag. I'm sorry for being so late with it, but I hope this was you know, fun. If you liked it, please like it, leave a comment, subscribe, do all those YouTube things, because they do actually matter. You know, people think that, oh, YouTubers just say that, but it's a direct way to show that you care about someone that you're watching. You don't need to, you know, leave lengthy comments if you don't want to, but if you just leave a tiny comment that shows that, you know, you were here, you watched it, and I really do appreciate everyone watching it. So yeah, I'm gonna stop bubbling and film a bunch of other VRs as well. So see you in the next one. Bye.